Hunter Robertson has had the odds stacked against him from birth. He was born with a skin disorder that leaves him more susceptible to cancer. But somehow, between biopsy appointments and a vigorous extracurricular schedule, Hunter has found the time to be a role model and even a lifesaver for his peers.
Our favorite literary tales would have you believe that heroes are born, blessed with immeasurable strength and determination. But sometimes the best stories, the best heroes, just need a little courage. That's what Hunter Robertson had at a young age.
He was our second child. And when I was pregnant, they have you do blood tests to rule things out, to see what to plan for. And we did the blood test and it came back for positive with spinal bifida.
Shara Robertson, Hunter's mom, waited 4 long months not knowing the fate of her second-born. She'd assumed there'd be a chance he couldn't walk or stand in the future. She worried his life wouldn't be like other kids his age. But instead of spina bifida, he was born with something entirely different.
When he came out, he had a black back. That's the color of his skin. It went up to his neckline and went down. It was a symmetrical line across his butt and then wrapped around both sides of his abdomen.
This condition is called congenital nevus, which is medical speak for a pigmented birthmark. It's technically harmless despite its appearance, but it does leave children like Hunter more susceptible to skin cancer. His family prays for the best every time he's biopsied, which happens annually now.
I just see it as a birthmark. It just doesn't put me to that kind of side.
Hunter doesn't see his birthmark as a negative. He doesn't even recognize it as a condition. The congenital nevus is something he's overcome. The bullying, the taunts, he's made peace with it. That was his very first act of heroism.
I turned to my family, and they'd be there by my side, but not at school, so I turned to my friends, and that's when they came in.
That's when they came in to help?
Mm-hmm.
His second act would come years down the line. It started with his mother hearing what sounded like a little girl giggling across the lake behind their house. She heard the sound in the wee hours of the morning.
I just let it go. Maybe I'm hearing things. Go back to reading. This was 10 and 15 seconds later. I hear it again. And now my mind starts going. It is this early. Why? What's going on?
The next sound she heard was definitely a whimper. Shara was sure of it this time.
A splash and more whimpering came, but this time it was coming from the direction of our house. I was like, that sounds like it's coming from our house. We don't have any kids in that span.
She had the family spread out across the bank to feel out where the sound could be coming from, but Hunter didn't stay at the lake's edge. Instead, he took a small boat into the water, rowing until he saw a small foot protruding from the lake. Without his quick thinking, his neighbor might not have made it. She was only 4 years old. She was also nonverbal and autistic.
When I pulled her into the kayak with me, she was just looking at me and smiled. And then when I put her between my legs, she just held onto my legs. And we went over to the bank, and then Mom and Miss Karen and them took her. It's definitely taught me to be more open to my surroundings, because there's always something that could happen or that will happen if I'm not being more open, I guess.
Though this act definitely qualifies Hunter as a hero in most books, this isn't where his story ends. In fact, it's only the surface of his philanthropy. After Hurricane Ida, Hunter cleaned yards and delivered meals to linemen working to restore power. When the pandemic hit, he made sure to befriend another one of his neighbors. He taught him how to fish.
I gave him the rod, and he reeled it in. I put it in the boat for him, and he was so proud of himself. He goes, "I can't believe I just caught that. Oh my goodness, that's the biggest fish I've ever caught in my life." So we got a picture with that. He's still proud of that fish.
And fishing also happens to be one of his favorite pastimes. Hunter and his older sister compete annually at fishing tournaments. And in 2020, Hunter was named Southwest Bassmaster Club Fisherman of the Year. A huge achievement. Hunter's junior year is coming to a close. He plans to go to college and become an electrician. But before that happens, his mother says she hopes he continues his hero's journey and continues to help those along the way.
When we first become parents, we're eager to do things with our kids because we want them to experience life. We want them to experience it all, but we want them to stay humble and stay true to themselves.
What a resilient and inspirational young man, and we want to thank Hunter for sharing his story. LPB's Louisiana Young Heroes program is presented this year with the generous support of the East Baton Rouge Parish Library, the Gail and Tom Benson Charitable Foundation, with additional support from Community Coffee, the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion, Demco, McDonald's, and Origin Hotel Baton Rouge.